Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It is week 7 of the NFL season. This is Stacking the Box along with Bet-Sided. I am at Verderame. He is Iain MacMillan, riding with the Falcons hat this week, 3-3, feeling good, going into Cincinnati in a game that who the hell knows. Anything can happen. We will get to that in a minute. Iain, the most pressing topic of the day. How you doing? How you feeling about week 7 here in a slate that I think leaves a little bit to be desired, if we're being honest?
Yeah, not the best slate ever. I need a bounce back week. Let's just go ahead and actually talk about our records here from last week, Matt, because it was a tough one for me here. Actually, I need to bring it up here. But I went on this show, I went 4-9 for minus 5.36 units. Matt, you had a pretty good show, 8-5 plus 2.27 units. So you closed the gap on me heading into this week. I'm 43-40-3 for plus 1.49 units. You're 43-42-1 for minus 3.18 units. So you are back above 500.
Okay. All right. I feel good. Jay Ward, what's happening? John, how are you? Welcome in. We have a lot to get to this week. But look, we're without some of the key teams in the league. We all feel like there's 3 good teams in football. 2 of them are on a bye. Philly's on a bye. Buffalo's on a bye. Kansas City's the only one in business, which is the best game of the week against San Francisco, which we'll get to later on once we hit the late window games. The pressing issue of the day is, first of all, do you have any bets on the baseball games? As we have 2 teams trying to punch their tickets to the World Series, and also your Leafs, 4-2 in the early going of the NHL season.
Yeah, a shaky 4-2 though. But how about your Devils? Your Devils are looking good.
Couldn't have looked more like shit for 2 games, and now all of a sudden it looked like they can't be stopped. They're out shooting everybody by 30 shots a game.
Yeah, if you look at advanced analytics, the Devils are quite literally the best team in the NHL through the first couple weeks here. So Devils are looking very good. But yeah, I like the Phillies today in baseball. I like the Astros. I think both series end today.
I'm with you. Steven, hey, thanks, man. That's awesome. Thanks for migrating over. Love going on the show with Big O every Wednesday. So thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the 2 championship series, I think it's over. I think Philadelphia's just on one of those runs right now. It feels like they just can't lose, and the Astros are just putting it on the Yankees. And let me tell you something: as somebody who grew up in New York and hates the Yankees with a visceral passion, I can't enjoy this enough. I am deep in my glory, especially as an A's fan with nothing to root for. Yanks have to go down. All right, we filibustered enough. Let's get to it. First game of the day that we're hitting involving your Falcons. Bengals at home taking on the Dirty Birds. Line 6.5. The Bengals laying a pretty big number here. The over-under 47.5, and it's been pretty much at that number, at least as far as I can tell, all week long. Has not moved much. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I think now at this point, I just need to kind of back my Falcons in the trend here because 6-0 against the spread. Yeah. I feel like I'd be a bad Falcons fan if I keep trying to bet against them. I bet against them last week; it didn't work, so I'm gonna ride this train. I will say one thing that I think the Falcons will be able to do against the Bengals here. Is I think they can run the ball against them pretty well. No team the past few games have run the ball more than the Falcons. That includes even the Bears. The Falcons are just running the ball, which is working for them. Now they get to face the Bengals defense. It's 23rd in opponent yards per carry. So that's kind of the weakness of the Bengals defense. The Falcons should be able to exploit a little bit. Not going to take their money line, but I think they might go 7-0 against the spread.
So you take them plus 6.5. I'm taking them plus 6.5.
Let's go.
Look, last week I showed faith in your team,
yes.
and I've shown faith a few times in him. I'm showing it again. I will throw my hand up and say, listen, I thought before the year, I thought they'd be the worst team in the NFL. I really did, because I didn't believe in Mariota, and I didn't believe in their ability to get a pass rush. Well, they're 3-3, and they're fun to watch. So I have turned the corner on the Falcons. I don't know that they win the game, but one big injury in this game to note. Logan Wilson is not playing for the Bengals. That is a big deal. He is a very good linebacker. He is, outside of Bates and Hendrickson, I think the best defensive player they have. Him not being in the middle only bolsters your case that Atlanta is going to be able to run the ball. So I like Atlanta to keep it close. I would not be shocked if Atlanta wins this game. I mean, if you look at the Bengals this year, here are their 3 wins. The Jets with Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Okay. The Dolphins on a Thursday night when Bridgewater had to take over for Tua, and that was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. And last week against Andy Dalton, who you just saw Andy Dalton on Thursday night. Okay. I think the Bengals find a way, but I love the Falcons plus 6.5. Number is way too big here.
Yeah, it seems crazy. And also, don't forget the Saints were winning basically that entire game against the Bengals last week, and the Bengals kind of won it right there at the end. So, yeah, this spread makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't unless
No.
you're just in the camp of hey, the Bengals are going to break out. Maybe they will, but geez, right now, how could you take them to cover a touchdown? All right, big injury news out of Dallas. Dak Prescott back in action on the field for the first time since he broke his thumb in week 1. He is at home, Jerry World, with the Lions off the bye coming to Dallas. The line, Dallas by 7. The total, 48.5. By the way, if you're looking at real-time odds over at FanDuel Sportsbook, the line has shifted. Dallas now 6.5. So if you haven't bet the game you want to, now you get that hook in your favor for Dallas. And the totals actually moved to 49.5. For us, you see the spread there updated 6.5. Where do you fall on Dallas and Detroit in a game where obviously Dak would love to have a very, very big game?
Yeah, I got the Lions at +7 in this spot. I just think this is a kind of a massive spread. It might be a little bit of an overreaction of Dak being back in the lineup here, because let's not forget, obviously he was against Tampa Bay the first game, a much better defense than the Lions defense, but Dak didn't really look great when he was healthy, that half of football that he played. And also I think the Lions can kind of match up well against his Cowboys defense. Cowboys defense obviously extremely good, but they thrive on the pass rush, and that's kind of where the Lions offense thrives, because they have a very good offensive line, especially their pass protection. I believe they're like top 4, top 5 in QB sack percentage, only getting sacked on 3.61% of Jared Goff dropbacks. And also they should be able to run the ball on the Cowboys defense, because that's kind of the weakness of the Cowboys defense. And the Lions, people have kind of forgot this because of their bye week, but second in the NFL in yards per carry. Cowboys defense ranks 17th in opponent yards per carry. So yeah, another one just like the Falcons game. I think the spread's a little bit too big. I did get the Lions at that magic number of 7 though.
Okay, so I got the total in this game, and I took the over. I took the over at 48.5, 49.5. I think there's a lot of points. Like we talked about this with Seattle last week. You just keep taking the over until proven otherwise. Now, of course, that was the week Seattle decided to go out and play defense like they were still curtain. I am taking the over on this game. Detroit can't stop anybody. Detroit has not stopped anybody all year long. I think Dallas is well into the 30s in this game. So if they get into the 30s, I think Detroit gets to 20. So I'm taking the over. I don't know whether or not Detroit covers. I could see it on a backdoor cover, something like that. I just do not think the Lions are good. Man, remember when training camp was going down and we got to watch Hard Knocks and everybody's like, man, Detroit, they're frisky. And then the season started and you're like, man, Detroit's still Detroit. Like, that's where I'm at with this. So DeAndre Swift not playing today. He's inactive. I still think they're going to score their points. I still think they're going to be able to get into the 20s against Dallas. And I think the Cowboys, I think it will be a concerted effort to get Dak to put up some good numbers in this game. They do not want this to become all about Cooper Rush Monday morning. So I'm rolling with the over. I think it's a high scoring game. And I think Dallas wins around the number, 34 to 24, 34 to 27, somewhere in there. It's why I won total.
All right. I don't hate it. I'd certainly go over before I'd go under. So I like it.
Yeah. All right. AFC South in somehow one of the best games of the week. The NFL should send an apology to everybody. Tennessee is at home against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts coming off of a win. They beat Jacksonville in their rematch there. This is another rematch. The Colts have played a ton of divisional games. They'll already be done with the Titans and the Jags after this week. The Titans coming off a bye. They're winners of 3 straight. They are laying 2.5 at home. The total fairly low, 42. I'll kick us off here. So I went back and forth on this a million times over because both of these teams are somehow over 500 despite feeling like they're terrible. Part of that may be the division. Part of that may just be the NFL this year where a lot of these teams have kind of come to the middle and it's going to be hard to pick them week in and week out. When in doubt, I always look at the quarterbacks. I don't think there's a huge difference there. And so I'm taking the points. I'm just going to take Indy plus 2.5 here. I don't love it either way. I could see a world where either one of these teams wins and wins by 7 to 10 points. I could also see a world where this game comes down to somebody making a horrendous mistake with 2 minutes left. So I will roll with the Colts to cover. I don't know if they win. I almost took the under in this game, But I also feel when you have games where you're going to have a lot of turnovers, that always scares me. Like you could just have some pick six. Now all of a sudden the line is really working against you. So I'm going plus 2.5 with the Colts on the road here in Nashville.
Yeah, this is my upset of the week. I'm taking Colts to win outright here. I think the Titans absolutely stink. I tweeted it out earlier today. I put together the net yards per play ranking, which if you don't know, it's pretty straightforward. You just take the amount of yards a team gains per play on offense. You subtract the amount of yards given up per play on defense. The Tennessee Titans dead last in the NFL in net yards per play. And a big reason why is because they keep running the ball. Like, obviously, their offense kind of revolves around Derrick Henry, but they just haven't done a good job of doing that. I think they're in the bottom 10 in yards per carry. I think they're only averaging like 3.7 or something like that yards per carry. So it's going to be hard to be successful if your entire offense is based on running the football, but you don't do it well. And I know the Titans beat the Colts back in week 4, but if you look at the yards per play statistic, the Colts outgained them 5.8 to 4.7 yards per play. The Colts turned the ball over 3 times. I think at least 2 of them were in scoring position as well. That just completely killed them. They don't turn over the ball 3 times. I think they would have won that game handedly. I think the Colts are the much better team. Like I said, I think the Titans are bottom 3, bottom 4 team in the NFL. I'll take the Colts to win outright. I got it at plus 135.
That line has not moved much. It was -3, and then it went to 2.5. I've seen some books at 3. Right now at FanDuel, it is exactly what we have it at, 2.5, and 42.5 is the total. So, by the way, who do you have? I know you picked the Colts to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. Do you still have the Colts winning this division?
Yeah, they'll win this division. I think so. Because I'm not concerned about their slow start, because this has kind of been what the Colts have done under Frank Reich for the past couple of years. They always start the season off slow. And then maybe we saw a little bit of an inkling last week against the Jaguars of the Colts kind of getting things together and getting some momentum. So, I think the Jaguars have shown they weren't as good as we thought at the start of the year. The Titans, like I said, stink. The Texans stink. So, I mean, it's not going to be a pretty divisional win, but I still think the Colts are going to take it.
You're going to have teams actively trying to get the 5 seed in the AFC. There's going to be like a race to position themselves so they can get that game. Yeah. All right. This game actually really intrigues me, and it might surprise some people, but it really does. The Green Bay Packers, losers of 2 straight, 3-3, on the road against Taylor Heineke and the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field. The Packers laying 4.5, totals 41.5. Now, as I look at FanDuel, just to give you the real-time odds, same deal. So nothing's moved. Nothing's really moved all week long. Feels like it's been very, very, very stringent for the most part. Maybe you would remember better than me. Did it open at 5.5?
Yes.
Am I right on that? Okay. So it's moved down a point. It's really sagged and sat at 4.5. I got to tell you, this game in some ways is the game I'll probably watch in the early window along with some red zone, because this is kind of like it's Armageddon here a little bit for the Packers.
Yeah.
You gotta get going at some point. But the thing that really scares the hell out of me with them, and I don't know if you saw the inactives list for them, David Bakhtiari's out, knee injury. It just feels like they're never getting him back healthy. I mean, he tore his ACL on New Year's Eve 2020. We're almost 2 years out from that now. He cannot stay healthy. And if he's not healthy, they have a problem they can't fix. They can't block anybody. Like Elton Jenkins is playing right tackle. He's a guard. They need to kick him back inside. They have no ability to block anybody. And in this game, one thing with Washington, they have a very good defensive line. I worry about the Packers. Where are you going on this game with Washington and Green Bay?
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers.
Okay.
I do agree with your point here, but I just think Washington is a bottom 5 team in the NFL. You look at net yards per play.
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah, which I talked about last pick, 30th in net yards per play. Like, this team absolutely stinks. I think this is the line's a little bit of an overreaction to the Green Bay obviously losing 2 straight games as touchdown favorites, but I think both New York teams are a little bit better than a lot of people expected. So I think Washington is certainly worse than the Giants and the Jets. And also, I think Aaron Rodgers, protection might be a little bit of an issue, but this is kind of a good bounce back spot for him as well, because the Washington secondary, not good. 24th in opponent yards per pass attempt. They can't stop anyone. Or on offense, they can't convert third downs into first downs. They're 26th in third down conversion rate. And Washington's had a relatively easy schedule so far, too. They obviously got killed by the Eagles and the Cowboys, but they already lost to the Lions pretty handedly. They lost to the Titans, who I think are, like I said earlier, like a bottom 2 team in the NFL. They needed the Bears to muff a punt in order to beat the Bears. Like, this Washington team truly stinks. Aaron Rodgers just being Aaron Rodgers, I think, should be good enough for the Packers to win and cover the spread here. I got it at the opening line at 5.5. I wish I waited. I'm surprised it went in the opposite direction. I thought it was going to go up closer to a touchdown, but that's what I got. So I'm on Packers 5.5.
All right, I'm on Washington plus 4.5. I think the Packers will win. I think this game's going to be a circus. The Packers have shown me no reason. And by the way, I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl this year. Okay, which what have they shown you? I mean, offensively, they can't get going. They can't score a point. Defensively, they play this soft zone coverage. And I will tell you right now, I think Heineke is going to be a bigger thorn in Green Bay's side because of one thing. I don't think he'll turn the ball over the way Wentz will.
Yeah.
Wentz will just throw the ball at you. Heineke won't. Now, he won't give the explosive plays that Wentz will, but he's not going to make the mistakes. I actually think that bodes well for Washington. Now, again, I think the Packers win this game by like a field goal. I think the Packers find a way, because I'm with you. Washington's not good. The Commanders are terrible. But I do think it's a game where you got to kind of show it to me at some point here if you're the Packers. Show me something. Show me anything. You can't score. Can't score. You can't block. They look deader than hell. I will say this. If they lose this game, this is going to be a full-on meltdown from Rodgers in the postgame. This is going to be – they're 2 games back in Minnesota. Minnesota's on a bye this week. Like, you've got to win. You've got to win this game. You've already lost to the Vikings. And I'm not the biggest believer in Minnesota, despite being 5-1. I mean, we watched them last week in Miami. Miami's missing half their team, and the Vikings are down there barely finding a way to win the game. But I think if you're the Packers, like, we're starting to get to that point where the leaves are falling off the trees and you're getting an event. Like, you got to start winning some games. You got to start finding a way. I think they do it, but I think it's ugly at the nation's capital. All right. You want to talk about ugly? The Carolina Panthers. They're at home, much to the dismay of fans who have tickets for the game. They are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, who last week were a double-digit favorite and just crapped all over themselves in a hideous performance. A hideous performance at Pittsburgh. For anyone who didn't watch that game, first of all, good for you. Second of all, that game was even worse than you may have thought. I mean, that game was brutal. I sat through the whole thing. And it was not because Pittsburgh was good. It was because Tampa was that bad. The line for this game is almost double the line of any other game this week. Tampa minus 13. The total, 39.5. This line skyrocketed after McCaffrey was traded. Where do you fall on this NFC South battle from hell?
Yeah, generally, and I've talked about this before, is a good sports betting strategy is to bet on the line early in the week and take advantage of before it kind of moves. But the downside of that is sometimes a player will get traded. Sometimes a team's best player will get traded. So that's what happened to me. So I'm unfortunately, not only am I on the Panthers, which is an ugly bet to begin with, but I got them at the line before Christian McCaffrey got traded. So I'm on Panthers plus 10.5. I can no longer defend this pick. But I already have it locked in, so I don't really know too much else what to say. I mean, the one thing I will say is the Buccaneers offense has clearly not been as good as what we're used to seeing the past few years. 21st in yards per play. They only got 4.5 yards per play against the Steelers, which the Steelers defense hasn't been good this year, so that didn't look great. I hesitate to lay this many points on a team whose offense has looked as bad and as out of sorts as the Buccaneers. But I don't know, now that the Panthers have seemingly just thrown in the flag this season and just not going to try at all and just trade away all their best players, then I don't really know if I can defend a Panthers bet hit either. So, like, who's who's playing quarterback? Is it Jacob Eason today? Is it PJ Walker? Who is it? I don't even know.
Have they announced it? I think there's been like this talk of like maybe it's Mayfield. I got to be honest with you. I have not paid ultra close attention to this because mostly I don't care. They're useless outside of trade talk for me. I'm with my guy, Steven Gonzalez, here in the chat. It's just Tampa by 17. I think that's about right. I'm taking Tampa to cover the 13. I don't care. Look, now I will say this. I backed Tampa to cover last week and looked like a dope immediately. I just think Carolina, like, there are teams that are bad, but they play really hard and they're going to fight and fight and fight. And then there are teams, like I think Carolina is about to be for the rest of the year, where it is just, hey, man, we don't have a coach. We're trading off guys. We have a quarterback. Like, cash it in. Just lay it down. I'll give you an example. I remember years ago, Kansas City played a game against Washington. It was the year after RG3's breakout rookie year. And they were terrible. They were just a total dysfunctional mess. And Shanahan was about to get fired and everything was falling apart. And they played them in a December game, and it was miserable weather. It was raining, sleeting. And I remember thinking to myself, Washington is just going to absolutely cash it in. They're not even going to try in this game. And the Chiefs came out. They beat them something like 45-10. Jamal Charles had like 200 yards in the ground. They just killed him. And I remember like it was the most half-hearted attempts at tackling you'd ever seen in your life. Like guys clearly just didn't want to be bothered with the game. I think we're about to see that with Carolina. I think you're going to have about 4 or 5 guys playing hard and the rest of this team going, no, I'm good. I'm good. Robbie Anderson just got kicked off the sideline and was traded. Christian McCaffrey's out the door. We don't have a quarterback. We don't have a coach. I'm good. I'm looking to just get through this year as healthy as humanly possible, put a little bit on tape, and get me the hell out of here. I will say this though, if the Bucs can't win this game by a big number, I am deathly scared of what the Bucs are going to be the rest of the year. Because at some point here, I mean, if you can't beat this team, yikes.
Not just beating this team, like they need to beat this team by double digits.
Yes, beat them badly. All right.
We'll say I've confirmed PJ Walker will be the starting quarterback for the Panthers.
Thank you for that. Should be my job being able to confirm something like that. But I when you asked me, I was like, I don't know who the hell the quarterback is. I knew Mayfield was playing, practicing. I didn't know Walker would get to start. All right, PJ Walker, awesome. 2 more games in a 1:00 slate that should be sent to prison with no chance of parole. Jacksonville at home against the G-Men, the New York Giants, 5-1 New York Giants. And in a plot twist, Jacksonville 2-4, laying 3 points at home. The old traditional 3 points at home. Hey, what do you know? 43.5 as the total, both on our book here throughout the week and in real time at FanDuel. You, sir, believe this is your lock of the week.
Yeah, this is my best bet. I got a quick little rant for this because I'm getting in arguments with Giants fans on Twitter. And it's the exact same arguments I got with Titans fans on Twitter last season. Because I go out and I say these teams aren't as good as the record indicates, and then people come at me, oh, they're 5-1. How can you say that? Because I'm seeing a lot of people say that the Giants should be favored in this game. There's no way in hell the Giants should be favored in this game. If you want to evaluate a team, you have to look further than just their record. If you're going to bet on teams based solely on their record, well, then good luck, because I'm going to guarantee you that's a losing strategy. The Giants, you have to look at the statistics. That's all we have. That's the only tangible thing that we can use here. And the Giants, 27th in net yards per play. They can't do anything on offense. Their defense ranks dead last in the NFL in opponent yards per carry. You look at, they beat the Ravens last week. In that game that they won, fair enough, they got outgained 7 yards per play to 3.8 yards per play. There's enough variance. There's enough, penalties, calls, things that are going the Giants' way that has led them to a 5-1 record. I will say good coaching probably has something to do with that as well. But at the end of the day, we're still only looking at a small sample of 6 games. Over the long period of time, over a bigger sample size, we're going to see them regress because unless they pick it up, unless they start playing better than they have been, but I don't think they have the talent to do it. They don't have the skill to do it. The Giants are going to start to regress sooner rather than later, and I think it starts this week against the Jaguars team that's 9th in net yards per play, one of the best teams in stopping the run, 3rd in opponent yards per carry. And how do the Giants get all their yards on offense? By running the ball. So not only are the Jaguars better statistically, but they also match up better stylistically against the Giants. I think the Jaguars win this game by double digits. I think they blow New York out of the water.
Okay, so I think the Jaguars stink. But I also think it's the kind of game, it's a weird game. The Giants coming off 2 very big wins, very emotional wins, coming back late. Now you go play Jacksonville. I don't know that the energy is going to be there because Jacksonville, they never sell a game out. It's one of those games where, weather shouldn't be a factor, so I don't worry about that. But I think it could be a sloppy game. I think it could be an ugly game. I'm taking the under here. I'm taking the under. I got it at 42.5, not 43.5. So I wish I'd maybe waited and get an extra point. But I think it's like 20-17. I think it's that kind of a game. I don't believe in Daniel Jones, but I believe in the Giants a lot more than you do because I think they can coach. And I believe when you can coach in the NFL, if you don't beat yourselves with turnovers, I think you can win a lot more games than people think. Like you can win a lot of football games by just not making big mistakes and allowing your opponent to do it. And so, and yes, even the game is in Jacksonville. I think it's a very close game. I don't know who I think is going to win because I think Jacksonville's desperate. And it's a spot with the Giants where I could see the Giants kind of having a little bit of a letdown here. But I'm going to take the under. I'm just going to take the total on this because I think the one thing that would scare me betting Jacksonville in this game, with Wink Martindale, the Giants defensive coordinator, you know one thing about him. They are going to blitz the crap out of Jacksonville. They are going to try to put pressure on Lawrence. Does he make a mistake or two in this game? If he does, I think the Giants win. So I'm going to ride the under the total and feel okay about it. Look, let's get to the last 1 o'clock game before we have 4 in the late window. All AFC West games. Baltimore, speaking of the Giants, coming off a bad loss where they were up 20-10 with 7 minutes to go. They lost to the Giants. Lamar threw a brutal pick, then a bad snap and a fumble. The Ravens at 3-3. Trying to rebound here. Going against the Cleveland Browns. This game in Baltimore, the Ravens favored by 6.5, total 45.5. Look, I'll lead us off here. I had a hard time with this game because I think Baltimore is definitely the better team. And I think they will win. But I also know that they have had this propensity all year to just fall apart late in these games and frankly, not even just give up a cover. They lose. They lose these games. Baltimore has not been good covering at all this season. I'm going to take Cleveland plus 6.5.
Ooh.
Maybe there's even a backdoor cover involved. Listen, I'll be the first to tell you, of all the bets this week, it's probably the one I'm least confident in. This could be the kind of game where Baltimore just beats them 38-10. Like, that's totally in play. I almost went with the over, but I just said, you know what? I don't know what to make of Baltimore right now. I'm high on them. I've been high on them, but then you watch them and you're like, man, they're just so Jekyll and Hyde drive to drive. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. And it's a rivalry game. And I will say this too. I said this about Jacksonville. These 2-4 teams, they are desperate as hell. They're desperate as hell. Like, Cleveland's next 3 games after this are the Bengals, the Bucks, and the Bills. Like, good luck. Cleveland could be staring at 2-8. I think they will be staring at 2-8 for the record. I'm taking them to cover. I think it might be backdoor. I don't think they're going to win this game. But I just can't ride with the Ravens right now because they can't hold a lead. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I think the spread's set at the right number, so I'm going with the over in this one. I got this actually at a bad number. I got a 46.5, a point higher than what it is now. But John F. says it in the chat, too, which is one of my main points. The Ravens' defense has not been the same as we've come to expect in the past few years.
Not.
20th in opponent yards per play, and neither has the Browns' defense, which I touted in the offseason as what I thought was going to be one of the best defense in the NFL. 28th in opponent yards per play. Not only that, but neither team can stop the run either. They rank both pretty close to the bottom in opponent yards per carry, and now they're taking on, obviously, the 2 offenses are 2 of the most proficient rushing attacks. So I think we're going to see a lot of points, and like you said, I don't really know, like, I'm not confident in this game. I don't really know what to expect. So anytime that I'm looking at a game like this where I really don't know what to expect in the spread set at what I think is the right number, I'm just going to go with the over and root for points because I'm disappointed by both defenses, to say the least.
Totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. I in some ways, I wish I had maybe even teased it and taken Cleveland like 12.5 and then the over, but it's just a weird game. I would stay away personally. All right. Let's get into the late window. 4 games before we get to Sunday night and Monday night. We're going to start with the 3-4-5 games, and we're going to kick those off with the Broncos at home against the Jets. Now, let's just set the scenes. There's a lot to get to. This line is moving a lot, okay? This line's all over the place. So the line opened at Denver -3. And then Denver played on Monday Night Football. And then the line went to like 1.5. And then 1. And then Russell Wilson was rolled out yesterday. And it initially didn't even really move. And then it got switched all the way over to the Jets. The Jets laying 1.5 on the road. Now, I saw somebody tweet this out. Forgive me. I want to give credit. I just don't remember who tweeted it out. The last time that the Jets were a road favorite was against Denver. And it was against Brett Rippon. Ooh. And Rippon went out and scored 37 points, and they won the game. So now the Jets look for revenge, okay? And they are laying the 1.5. The total has moved. It was initially 38.5. It is now down in real time to 36.5. And it just, by the way, the line changed again. The Jets are laying 2.5 now. The line has jumped up since we've been live here. So the line is now 2.5 for the Jets. Spread 36.5. Where are you going on a game that I got to tell you? I know I'm not supposed to be like rooting games, and I normally don't. I am rooting for chaos. If this game, anything is hilarious here. What do you have in a game that could go in any direction?
I'll say one other thing about this line movement here. It actually opened at the total at 42.5. So it has dropped from 42.5 down 8 points to 36.5. That is insane. I don't think I've ever seen that level of line movement in a total. Is the weather supposed to be really bad? Is that I've seen
a little rain? There's some rain in the forecast, and it's going to be very windy.
Still 8 points a line. I am on the under. I got it. I didn't get it at the best number. I got it at 40.5. So still, I thought it wasn't going to move from there. It's now moved down another 4 points. I just think, like I said, I'm on the under, but I don't know if I can back the under at 36.5 if you're looking to bet it right now. But I will say, both teams' defenses significantly better than their offenses. The Denver defense is kind of being overshadowed by everyone making fun of the Broncos offense, but this Denver defense has been
very good,
fantastic so far this season. Jets defense pretty good too. They're 2nd and 7th in opponent yards per play. Broncos ranked 1st in red zone defense, but last in red zone offense. So that's usually going to lend towards an under. So I'm taking the under. I got it at 40.5. If you're looking to bet it now, I don't even know what way you'd go with it now. Maybe the Broncos and the points, if they're getting 2.5, like that now might be a little bit of an overreaction to Russell Wilson, I think, not playing. Maybe even go the over, maybe completely underreact to the line movement. It's 36.5 though. No. That's a crazy number.
I don't care.
I don't at the current line, I will be honest, I don't know what to do, but I'm on the under 40.5.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. Jets money line, baby. Because I got multiple thoughts. By the way, I took the Jets money line when they were getting points, and I'm still rolling with it. The Jets are better than Denver. And I'm not even a big believer in the Jets. I think the Jets have won some weird games. They're better than Denver. Like here's the problem. When you have a team like Denver, when you're supposed to be good and you're not, and your quarterback might be the most unlikable person in the world in terms of just being a corny, weird, like all the Broncos country. Let's ride. Like, bro, 2-4. Stop. Like, I know he didn't film these in the real moment. And by the way, it was mentioned earlier. Lucas, good call by you. Trey Wingo was the one who tweeted out that stat about Brett Rippon and the Jets, so I appreciate it. Great job by Trey. Like, when you are a team that's supposed to be good and you're not, and your quarterback is this really bizarre guy all year long, and you're losing for the same reason every week. He's not good. Your offense is therefore terrible. Your defense has to do everything. At what point does the defense start to just get almost to a mutinous level here where it's like, look, enough of this. Enough. Like, not that they're not going to like give their effort. Of course they will. But like, at what point does it just become almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, we just can't do enough. Can't do anything. Like, we cannot do enough to win these games. Our offense stinks. And the Jets, on the other hand, well, you have this bad juju going on in Denver. The Jets are good for once. They're confident. They're flying high. I'm taking the Jets to win the game outright. I don't think it's a blowout by any stretch of the imagination because Denver's defense is really good. I think Denver's going to turn the ball over. So give me the Jets like I don't know, 19-16, something like that. But man, it's been bad. It's been really bad for Denver. And they lose this game, you're going to start hearing people talk about firings. I mean, that's what's coming next.
Yeah, it's it's ugly.
All right. Let's get to another AFC West team here with the Raiders, who are at home against the Texans. Darren Waller is not playing. Hunter Renfrow, a game-time decision. Mac Hollins, a game-time decision. So Derek Carr, without one weapon, might be without a few. This line has been very stable. Vegas laying 7, total 45.5. That has been the case basically all week long against Houston. Both teams coming off the bye. Where do you see Vegas and Houston here as both teams desperately needing a win, the Raiders specifically, considering, of course, everybody's expectations of them coming into the season?
Yeah, I'm going to lay the points with the Raiders. I think they're a lot better than 1-4 than what the record indicates. I mean, they almost beat the Chiefs in their last game out. Yep. Their offense has been very good, 9th in the NFL in yards per play. The Texans, not good. And I think the Raiders are actually going to be able to run the ball against this Texans team. They're 29th in opponent yards per carry. And the Raiders have kind of found their rushing attack. 5th in yards per carry. Josh Jacobs has looked pretty solid this year. I just think Houston is a terrible team. They're like, no matter what stat you look at for the Texans, they're like in the bottom 5. Like they're 26th, 31st, 32nd, 25th. Like they're just a bad team. And the Raiders need to get back in the win column here because they're much better than what their record indicates. So especially with the Raiders being at home, I don't mind laying the 7 points.
So we're on opposite sides of this. I'm taking Houston to cover. Oh, that's right. That's right. Throw your head back. Listen. Hey. I had a good week last week. I feel confident.
Yeah.
That's right. My thought on this is because Houston has played very close games for the most part all year. Yeah. The Raiders have played very close games for the most part. So I expect a close football game. I think it is within a touchdown. I think the Raiders will win. But I have very little faith in the Raiders blowing anybody out because they're the Raiders. They don't pull away from teams. I also think this is a game where can Josh McDaniels coach a team to a 20-point win? I have no idea. So I am going to take Houston to cover the spread. I do not think it is going to be a game that you're exactly hanging up as a Mona Lisa. I think it's going to be kind of ugly. I do agree with you and John in the chat. I think the Raiders are much better than the record suggests. I'm with both of you. I am. I think the Raiders might even push to the playoffs. But I just hesitate when both teams have done nothing but play really close games all year long. It seems like a game that will come toward the middle. I like the Raiders to win. I think they get off to Schneid. I think they get to 2-4. But I'm taking the points here. I'm taking the points. Maybe it's even a backdoor cover, but I will take the 7. All right. Let's get to a game that is my best bet of the week. And I got it at a great number. And I think it's a very fascinating game just in terms of even just watching just straight up. Chargers at home. Although, do they really have a home? One could say no. No fans, no home. They are at SoFi taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this line opened at 7. As of this morning, it is now 4.5. The Chargers were laying 7 points, now laying 4.5. Total is at 50.5. Where do you have this game as we look at Seahawks and we look at Chargers here in week 7?
Yeah, I said it last week and it didn't work out for me, but I'm just going to keep going with it. And I'm just going to keep betting the over in Seahawks games until their stats change because they have one of the best offenses in terms of yards per play in the NFL, but they're 30th in opponent yards per play. The Chargers defense, once again, not good. Supposed to be extremely improved this offseason. Has not been. They're 25th in opponent yards per play. Chargers can't stop the run. Seahawks can't stop the pass. I'm just going to be rooting for points in this one. I don't see any other way to bet Seahawks games until things change. They are just too is Geno Smith good? Statistics are showing that he is. So
yeah, I think he is somehow. Yes,
he is. So I'm just going to root for points. I don't really know what else to do in this game. If he got the spread back up when it was at 7, then taking the points of the Seahawks is a great move. But now that it's moved down, I'm just going to root for points in this one.
So I wrote a piece, I believe a week ago, on Geno Smith and his ascension. And I talked to some people around the Seahawks. And they were like, look, man, he he's playing at a level now that like we feel sustainable. He's shown that he can do this. They love his accuracy. They love the way he holds himself accountable in the room. I think he's good. Like every once in a while this happens, and I likened him in my piece to Rich Gannon, who years ago was just a guy for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh shit, Rich Gannon, like he can actually play. And I don't know if Geno Smith's going full MVP and going to the Super Bowl like Rich Gannon did with the Raiders. I think he's good. And that's why my best bet of the week is Seattle +7. What the hell have the Chargers done at any point this year to be favored by 7 points?
Nothing.
The Chargers suck.
Yeah.
Like, and I know, look, you can sit there and go, if you're a Chargers fan, hey, look, come on, they're 4-2, they're tied with the Chiefs. That's one of those, like, they're tied, but they're not. I'm sorry. I'll tell you right now, somebody who is a Chiefs fan, the Chiefs could lose to the Niners today and the Chargers could win this game. I'm not the slightest bit concerned about the Chargers. The Chargers can't coach. They're horribly coached. And I'm not just talking about Staley, who by the way, also is a terrible head coach. Joe Lombardi, their offensive coordinator, he treats Justin Herbert like he's Andy Dalton. I've never seen a quarterback who's this talented who the coordinator is more afraid of letting throw a pass. Like, Joe, let him throw it 10 yards in the air. It's okay, I promise. He's not going to get you killed. They don't throw the ball. Keenan Allen's a game time decision, but I'd be surprised if he plays because they got the bye coming up this week. I think I'll go one better. I bet Seattle +7. I think Seattle's going to win the game. I think Seattle's is better than them.
Take money line.
I really do. I do. In my picks on Thursday, I took Seattle to win the game. Seattle's better than them. Everybody goes, look, the problem with the Chargers is everybody sees Herbert, which, by the way, he's great. Like, fair enough. And then they see all these stars, and they're like, oh, my God, well, the Chargers. The Chargers are the flimsiest, top-heavy team in the league. Derwin James is great. J.C. Jackson, who spent $82.5 million on, has been benched.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks great, by the way. That's looking good.
Not good.
He got benched. I don't think he's healthy with the ankle injury. Bosa's out 8 to 10 weeks. Khalil Mack, to his credit, has been great. It's basically Derwin James and Mack, and everybody else in that defense is average to terrible, save Asante Samuel, who I actually like. Offensively, Allen's missed every game this year except for week 1, the first half of week 1. Slater's out for the year. Eckler is great, but their offense is basically, hey, Austin, what do you think? A swing pass on 3rd and 8? It's just, you can't do anything. I think Seattle's going to win this game. I also think this is going to sound like a home game for Seattle. So give me the points. Give me the damn money line. But the points is my bet here. I think Seattle is going to win this game outright in L.A., and I don't even know that I think it's going to be close. So let's see how it plays out. All right. Let's go to the best game of the week. I think most people would agree. The 49ers at home with Christian McCaffrey. They take on the Kansas City Chiefs. This line's been all over the place. It opened to Kansas City -3, and then it moved to 2.5, then it was back to 3, and then it's down to 1. Now it's 1.5 at FanDuel, if you're curious. So it is settled at 1.5. The total live, 48.5. So that's where we sit here on Sunday morning. McCaffrey expected to play, maybe not expected to play a ton, but to play in some capacity. Where are you going with the Chiefs and the Niners out in Santa Clara?
Yeah, I'm going to back the Chiefs this time. I'm a guy who likes to fade the Chiefs, as we all know on this show, but I got it at a bad line. I haven't done a bad job this week of placing my bets because I got a lot of bad lines. I got Chiefs at -3. I just don't think the 49ers offense can keep up with the Chiefs offense whatsoever. I think the Chiefs specifically very good on 3rd down. I think they're second in 3rd down conversion rate. 49ers only converting about 40% of 3rd downs. And to kind of beat this 49ers defense, I think what you need is pretty good pass protection. And then you can kind of attack the 49ers secondary. And the Chiefs kind of have that. The Chiefs have done a pretty decent job of protecting Patrick Mahomes this season. I think he can attack their secondary. I don't think the 49ers can keep up. And also the Chiefs have done a great job stopping the run this year. And if I think you can stop the run of the 49ers, that prevents them from doing a lot of the things that they want to do. And also, I know they got Christian McCaffrey, and I think maybe that's why the line moved down to 1.5. But I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play that much. I think he's projected for 5 to 10 plays. It takes a while to learn an offensive playbook. They're probably going to toss him in a little bit, give him some very simple run plays, but he's not going to have a very high snap count, at least in my opinion. Hey, maybe I'll be wrong, but I would not be rushing to bet the 49ers because you think Christian McCaffrey is going to make a big difference in this game. So I like Chiefs -3.
All right, this game scares the absolute hell out of me. I have no idea what to do with this game. The Chiefs are, I think, the Chiefs are the better team. The Niners have the better roster, but the Chiefs have Mahomes, the Niners have Garoppolo, and so that counts for quite a bit. But the Niners are healthier than I think most people thought they'd be this week. And the one thing with the Niners, they can rush the passer, and they can run the ball. And that with the Chiefs leads you to just go, I don't know. I have no idea. The scary part from the Chiefs' perspective is the Chiefs coaching this year. Now, this is a weird thing to say if you don't watch the Chiefs every week. You look at the offense and go, come on, they're number one in EPA, they're number one in points per game. Their offensive coaching has been a disaster this year. It has been bailed out by how talented they are, but their offensive coaching is just a train wreck. However, I'm glad the Chiefs are listening to me, as I've been screaming among many other people, by the way. Play Isaiah Pacheco. For the love of God, start him at running back. Well, guess what? Today they're starting him at running back.
Yeah.
I am taking, however, the under in this game. I don't know what to expect. I think if you said to me you got to take a side, I'd take the Chiefs by like a field goal, which is what the line was at all week. I think it's a close game. I think it's like what it was last week in Buffalo, 24-20, something like that. Again, if you pin me down on a money line, I would go Kansas City, but I think it's an under. And I'll tell you one thing the Chiefs do need to do. They got to start forcing some turnovers. They've only gotten one interception all year this year. It was a 99-yard pick six, but that's it. That is all. Like, they've forced 3 fumbles, or they've recovered 3 fumbles. Excuse me, forced more than that. Covered 3 fumbles, and they have 1 pick. If they can up that number against Garoppolo, I think they win the game. And they might even win it by 7 to 10 points. But if they can't, and the Niners can run the ball, then it becomes a very interesting game. The one thing that I will say for your bet, the Niners have played nobody this year. Right. Nobody. Seattle, the Rams, the Panthers, those are the 3 wins. And they've lost to Denver, Chicago, and your Atlanta Falcons. So that is the one thing. This is a significant step up in class for the Niners. Where for the Chiefs have been playing good teams all year, it feels like. So we will see how it goes. I will take the under. Let's get to Sunday night football. We're a couple minutes early here on our rundown, but I don't know what else to possibly say about any of these games. The Dolphins at home, finally healthy. Tua's back, getting some guys back into the fold. I know not 100% healthy, but healthier here. They will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The line is Miami, favored by 7. The total, 45.5. By the way, in real time, the Dolphins out laying actually 7.5. The total's gone down to 44.5. I'll start here. So I thought about this for a while. I definitely like the Dolphins to win the game. And they will win the game. I actually went total, though. I went under 45.5, so I feel good about it now that the line has moved. Hey, line moved. I'm feeling good about it. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to score many points, and I think with Tua, the Dolphins are going to try to ease him back in. I think they're going to try to be careful with him in this game, not throw the ball too often, get the ball out of his hands quick. I like a 23-16 type of score, right around the number. So I am going to take the under. I do think the Dolphins win, but I just think it's a lower scoring game. I think it's a tight to the vest game if you're Miami.
There's very few games this week that me and you are actually on complete opposite sides. A lot of the games are either on the same side or one of us is on the total and the other's on the side. But yeah, we're on opposite sides of this one. I like the over.
Okay.
The Dolphins, the over is only 2-3 or 2-4 in Dolphins games this season, but I keep betting the over because if you look at their numbers, they're built like an over team. They're 5th in yards per play. They are. With Tua being out for 2 games, 27th in opponent yards per play. And what do you want when you bet on an over in a game involving a team? You want a team to have a good offense and a bad defense. So they have a good offense and a bad defense, but the under keeps hitting. So I'm being stubborn. I'm being persistent. I'm just going to keep betting overs in Dolphins games. Also, a big reason why I like this bet is neither defense is good on third down, 26th and 27th in opponent third down conversion rate. So if the offenses can continue to convert third downs, turn them into first downs, that's going to move the ball down the field, and hopefully that will result in some points here. So I will say it's a little bit tough to make this bet knowing how bad the Steelers' offense has been this season. But hey, maybe Kenny Pickett can get something going. But yeah, I'll take the over. I think it's too low of a total for a team like the Dolphins that have a really good offense but a really bad defense.
Fair enough. You know what? I'm obviously I'm going the other way on you here. I think the under happens. We'll see. I think the Dolphins will find a way to win the game. By the way, I'll filibuster here for a second. There is a report out there by Adam Schefter right now that the Panthers turned down 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns. First of all, with due respect to Adam Schefter, I don't believe that for half a second. Secondly, if that is true, everybody in the Panthers front office should be fired. Every single person involved. Like, this is kind of taking on a life of its own now. And I have Chiefs fans asking me nonstop about Brian Burns and what they should give up for him. Listen, can we be real about Brian Burns for a second? I think he's a really good player. He, in his career, has a high of 9 sacks. Like, we got to stop with this now. Like, this has reached the point of full-blown insanity. The man is, in his career, 29.5 sacks over 54 games. Listen, really good player. Pro Bowler last year. I get sacks aren't everything. You talk about pressures. Fine. Brian Burns is a good player. Brian Burns is not worth a pair of 2 first-round picks. My gut, stop it. This is insanity. If any team gives up 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, the GM should be fired. Okay? I could see a first because he's young and he's on a rookie deal. I got to tell you, I mean, somebody asked me yesterday, like the Chiefs, what would you give up? And I said, I wouldn't do what I'm about to say. I wouldn't do it. But I think the absolute max that I'd even talk about with him is a first and a third or something. And I think that's overpaying. Like, I think that's a huge deal for Carolina. 2 firsts? If that's true, whoever did that should be fired. And I'm somebody who I really like him. But come on now. Tyler, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us here. Really appreciate you. All right, look. Let's get here to the final game, Monday Night Football, Pats and Bears. Send your complaints to ESPN. This is criminal that this game's on Monday Night Football. Like, who the hell? It was like, you know what? You know what we need? Mac Jones and the Bears. Let's fire it up, boys. But here it is. The line, as you see on your screen, New England laying 7.5. The total right now is moved to 40.5. It was listed a lot of this week at 39.5. You and I on opposite sides. Where are you going with this one?
I will say, and maybe this is why ESPN booked this for Monday Night Football, is I think Bill Belichick can pass George Halas for most wins all time on Monday night. I think he can do that. So I think maybe that's yeah.
I mean, my God.
Good point.
I mean, who gives a shit? I don't want to watch that. I mean, oh my God. This will has to be the worst slate of primetime games. Like, Miami and Pittsburgh's at least like intriguing because of Miami.
Right.
Oh my God, these other games, the Saints and the Cardinals. The best thing that happened on Thursday night was the trade announcement from Michaels. That was the most exciting part of the whole game. I was in a coma before he said that. So, by the way, Al Michaels, I know he's getting paid a fortune. You think he's regretting leaving Sunday Night Football right about now?
He has to be.
He's
some bad games that he's had.
It's horrible. It's horrible football. All right, go ahead, though.
I like the Bears in this spot. And thankfully, this is the last time we have to watch the Bears in primetime. I think this is the last primetime game. Thankfully.
It better be.
I got the Bears a +8 though. I hate betting the Bears because when I bet the Bears and they don't win or cover for me, I feel like such an idiot. But I'm going to do it again. I think the Patriots are certainly better, but 8-point spread I think is a little aggressive. And I think the Bears can be able to run the ball a little bit on this Patriots defense. Patriots defense is 22nd in opponent yards per carry. Patriots offense struggles in the red zone as well, 29th in red zone touchdown scoring percentage. So if they just score a lot of field goals, it's going to be hard to cover this big of a spread. Like I said, Patriots are certainly better, certainly better coached. Spread's a little bit too big, though. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to the Patriots' success the past few weeks. So I'll take Bears +8 in the spot, but I hate it. I hate it, and I know at the end of the game on Monday night I'm going to feel like an idiot, but I just can't. This Patriots team not good enough for me to lay this many points against pretty much anyone. You
should hate it. You should be ashamed of yourself. I've got the Pats 7.5. Look, the Bears stink. Belichick's going to put them in hell all night long. By the way, I don't even think the Pats are good, but I think the Bears are so bad that I'm laying at 7.5. I have nothing else to say about this game. It's a tragedy. Look, by the way, I just finished dogging on the primetime game. So next week we actually have a good slate. Baltimore is at Tampa on Thursday night.
Oh.
Sunday Night Football is the Packers at the Bills. And then Monday night we have the Bengals and the Browns. And you might as well enjoy it because I happen to just look ahead at week 9. Week 9, you ready for these 3 games? These games, the lines are going to be fun for this. Philly at Houston on Thursday Night Football.
-17.
Oh, my God. Okay, then you got Sunday night. Tennessee is at the Chiefs with the Chiefs coming off a bye. Like, what is the line for that? 13? Like, that game's going to be a murder. And then Monday night, which is the most competitive, is Baltimore's at New Orleans, which maybe like that game's somewhat interesting. I don't know, but yeah, Christ. All right, be happy about Week 8's slate. And hey, today, hopefully your teams win. Hopefully you enjoy the day. Not a great slate of games, but sometimes those can be fun because sometimes you get some wacky stuff and it's just a wild day. But in any event, good luck to your teams today. Thank you for joining. If you've not subscribed to Stag in the Box or BetSided, please do so. Would really appreciate it. And if you haven't given the video a like, would really appreciate that as well on your way out. Really, really helps us grow the channel. Thank you so much. For Iain MacMillan, I am Matt Verderame. Good luck today, and we will talk to you next week.